Hello and welcome to today's webinar presentation, Local SEO. We're going to talk about how to master local search engine optimization. It's something that we do here at BSM, Boulder SEO Marketing, all day long. So we're going to share, I think, really useful tips and best practices. Let me turn on my light here. There we go. So let's get into it. My name is Chris Raulf. I'm the founder, chief visionary here at BSM Boulder SEO Marketing, originally from Switzerland. I got into SEO, I guess, nearly 3 decades ago, before Google was called Google. I speak now globally about AI and SEO. I absolutely love local SEO. It is way easier than national or international SEO. I'm also a brand ambassador for SE Ranking, a favorite SEO tool here at Boulder SEO Marketing. Daniel, who are you?
Yes, so quickly, I'm originally from Brazil and went to college in the University of Miami. And before joining forces with Chris, I used to run a web design agency in Los Angeles, California. So a lot of what I bring to the table is the website side of things and how that influences the SEO and then how users actually interact with the website. There's a lot of really cool stuff that we're going to be going over today, but that's a little background on me.
Excellent. All right. So, as I mentioned earlier, we absolutely love doing local SEO. Many of our clients, they are local businesses. Many are here in the Denver and Boulder and Colorado area, but we also work with local businesses all over the US. If you do a search for SEO agency Boulder, you'll see that proof is in the pudding. We dominate. We're number one in the map pack. Then our website is the first blue link, and then we're also number one, or with our LinkedIn company page, we're taking up a lot of the real estate at the very top there in Google. So we get a lot of leads through these tactics that we're going to share here in today's webinar. So hopefully you'll walk away with really useful knowledge. If you don't want to do this yourself, we'll gladly take your money. If you want to reach out to us, you're welcome to. So we love doing local SEO. So feel free to reach out. That was my sales pitch. Onward. Here, one of our customers is the 2020 Institute. It's a LASIK company. They provide eye surgery, improve people's vision. So, Daniel, I think this is a great example of somebody that was extremely hesitant, right? They got burned before by other agencies. I think they used offshore agencies. It took about four or 5 months to get them to the top. Just you want to briefly talk about
Yeah, and
why?
it's true not just with this client. Actually, a lot of the clients that we're signing up now have been burned by other SEO agencies, and it's not only just the kind of the offshore thing, Chris. It's a lot of the SEO agencies are still using kind of older tactics, and SEO has changed tremendously. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, but I think a lot of these clients are coming from, older agencies that are using the older tactics that not only don't work anymore, but really hurt him. So a lot of people that come to us come with a lot of hesitation saying, oh no, what am I going to get with you guys? And 2020 was one of them. But as you can see here, I think in a period of 4 to 5 months, we got him to, for his most competitive keyword, LASIK Denver, right? That's his go-to number one keyword. We got him ranking number one, not only on the Google business profile, but on the search results. So needless to say, he's super happy.
Yeah, and this is not rocket science. Local SEO, in my opinion, is actually fairly easy. However, you need the knowledge, the resources, and the time to implement those strategies that we're going to talk about here today in this webinar. So, real quick about BSM, Boulder SEO Marketing. We have pivoted from being a traditional SEO agency. We're now, I like to refer to us as a content marketing agency. that happens to be really good at SEO, and we heavily use AI. Daniel will be showcasing our proprietary AI SEO tool that we created, that we now deploy as part of every project for our customers. We also, I'll let Daniel talk about the virtual customers that we set up that are basically a micro language model that do incredible things. So definitely stay tuned. I'll let Daniel talk about that in a second. We also have created a proprietary SEO methodology called micro SEO strategies. If you want to see an example, just Google SEO price guide right there. You should see at the very top an example of what we call a micro SEO strategy page. It's basically we create the best piece of content on the internet in relation to the search terms that we want to rank for. Daniel will talk more about the process that's part of a micro SEO strategy. So we work with a network of other digital marketers in case we don't provide the service that somebody needs. And we're expanding rapidly, so we'll be adding more services to our repertoire. Yeah, so again, feel free to reach out if you'd like to learn more. Daniel, we're going to try to cover a lot of information in a relatively short amount of time. I'm not going to read all of these bullet points here, but this is what we're going to try to tackle in today's webinar. If you'd like to get in touch after the webinar, please do so. Always happy to talk shop. All right. Again, this will be a very fast-paced webinar. We're going to throw a lot of information at you. Hopefully, you'll walk away with a few golden nuggets that you'll be able to implement immediately for your business. All right. Daniel, why does local SEO matter? How do people search for things these days?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if it's a Google search and someone's looking for a local provider of a service that you're looking for, let's say, I need to find a local car wash, it's extremely important that you're going to be showing up on that map pack. That's going to be huge percentage of the traffic is going to go to those one, two, three. And then obviously one of the things that we're going to talk about is the website itself, in addition to the Google Business Profile, needs to be extremely optimized as well, not only for that search result coming up, but also for supporting the Google Business Profile, because the Google Business Profile supports the website and vice versa. In addition to Google, one of the things we're going to be talking a lot about are AI agents, right? Everything that we're doing, everything that we're talking about, all of the content that we're creating, all of our new strategies, it's not just focused on, yes, the map pack and the Google results, but our AI agents like ChatGPT and Siri and Alexa picking you up as their recommendation when somebody says, Alexa, what's a great car wash around me? So that's why local is more important than ever, not only because of the Google presence, but all of these other AI agents that are around helping people find out where they need to go.
Exactly. And guess what? There are tools out there such as SE ranking, and we'll share the link to a complimentary month-long free trial in a second here, where you can do keyword research. You know exactly how many people are searching for what kind of keywords, how much it would cost if you were to do pay-per-click, right? This tool will also give you similar keyword ideas, right? There's no guessing. We know exactly how many people are searching for keywords such as Denver SEO. Obviously, one of our primary keywords that we're targeting. If you want to do a search for Denver SEO, you should find our Google Business Profile right at the very top. So this is not rocket science, and there are so many tools and strategies available to get there. All right. As Daniel mentioned, let's quickly talk about the SERP, the search engine results pages. So if you do a search for, in this case, Denver SEO, You will most likely see sponsored ads at the very top there. About 2 out of 10 people will click on these paid ads. Daniel, when does it make sense to actually throw money at Google and pay them to play, basically showing up in these paid ads?
Yeah, so we have this conversation with like most of our new customers, right? The idea of investing in SEO is so eventually you absolutely do not have to spend money on ads because you are showing up where you need to show up organically. But if we're starting to work with a website that currently doesn't have any traction, it's not showing up anywhere. Maybe your keywords are on page 5, 6, 10, or nowhere. SEO becomes a little bit more of a longer term strategy, right? It means that we're going to have to put some work on it, educate Google, let Google build trust on the brand. So it's going to be, when I say a longer term strategy, 8 months, 10 months, 12 months before SEO picks up. If the business needs to have leads coming in from the internet or from online, at that point, it does make sense to start buying some Google ads or some advertisement because that allows you to get some traction immediately. Is it sustainable, the ads? In my point, no. And the idea is as soon as you start ranking organically, then you could stop paying for those ads. So there's always a place for spending ads, but if you have a really good organic presence in the landscape, then, a lot of times it doesn't make sense to spend that money on ads.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so about 2 out of 10 people will click on these paid ads. Usually the quality of the leads is not that amazing. But 45% will click on the local map pack in relation to a local search term. And then about 35% will click on one of the top organic blue links, as you can see there. So that's the makeup of a SERP, a search engine results page. Then let's talk about global domination on a local scale. So we do provide SEO trainings in Denver. As you can see there, we completely dominate this game, right? We got the first spot with our website, then 2 Google business listings, our Denver office, my personal Google business profile. Then we don't own 51 blocks. But we are listed in that listing number 4 there. That is a directory where they included us in their directory about SEO training. So we'll talk about off-page optimization, how to find the directories that will get you the biggest bang for your buck. Then, Daniel, what is the magic switch when it comes to local SEO?
Unfortunately, there isn't one. There's a lot of work that goes to it, though.
Yeah. So yeah, it takes time, resources, and know-how to get there. So let's briefly talk about the local SEO digital marketing mix. We're going to talk about owned digital entities, earned placements, and paid placements. That's basically the makeup of a local SEO strategy. That's what we're going to talk about in this webinar. So owned, if you have learned old style marketing, you're familiar with owned, earned, and paid, right? Owned entities are things that we have complete control over. It's things that we can claim, set up, create, optimize, and do all the things that we need to do to get eyeballs to our business. Okay. When it comes to local SEO, obviously two of the most important things are your Google business profile will share a checklist on how to properly optimize your Google business profile. But this is the ultimate low-hanging fruit for you. Even if you don't have a website, this is something that you can claim right now, set it up and start to optimize it. If you do a good job, you do have a really good chance to end up in the local map pack. Google will usually show 3 businesses in that local map pack. So it is competitive. But if everybody would could do it, they would show up there. So this is competitive, but definitely well worth it to put effort into it. And then obviously, ideally, you also want your website to show up at the very top for these local search terms. All right. Then again, owned, if you do a search for SEO Training Denver, you'll probably see our about.me page. Again, this is called off-page optimization. This is one of these golden nuggets that I would write down. About.me. It's a platform that Google invested in. We figured out how to properly optimize this platform. So we're actually able to take up more real estate in Google with this platform. We're also using Eventbrite as our webinar and events registration platform. You can also optimize platforms like Eventbrite take up more real estate on page one in Google. And then one of my favorites, LinkedIn. This is another golden nugget that I would write down if I were you. Make sure create your LinkedIn company page. And once you have created a LinkedIn company page, you can create what is called a showcase page where you can promote specific services or products. This works extremely well. Proof is in the pudding right there. Then earned local SEO strategies, directories. I guarantee you, if you do a search for your most important local SEO keywords, you will find directories such as Gotch SEO Academy. They listed I think one of our webinars or one of our trainings on their website, right? So we piggyback on the success of their rankings right there, and actually includes a link back to our website. So what I do recommend, do a search for your most important keywords and then see what kind of directories show up. It's the ultimate low-hanging fruit opportunity where you may be able to, reach out to the owner of that website or even simply add yourself to that website. And guess what? The nice side effect is that you get an active backlink from that off-page entity or that website that Google actually counts as an active, relevant backlink. Daniel, do you want to very briefly talk about backlinks? People always think it's the most important thing and they try to get as many backlinks as possible. What really matters when it comes to backlinks?
Yeah, and the reason a lot of people believe that is because back in the days, and when I mean back in the days, a few years back, link building was still the biggest strategy that every SEO agency would apply, right? So people got accustomed to buying links because at that point it was quantity over quality, right? The number of links mattered. The more links that you had, the more important you thought, Google thought that you were. And that's completely changed, right? So that over the time, that's completely changed. Are links still important? Absolutely. But it's not about quantity anymore. It's really about quality, right? Google has been really good at kind of cracking down on these link farms and these like link building strategies and so forth. So the idea that we need to go out there and generate really good organic quality links to the website is important, right? Those count. But gone are the days of like, just building numbers and numbers of links and you would sign up for an SEO package where you would get X links every month. Those days are gone. And then something else I don't think we'll have time to show today, but we have a lot of examples of MicroStrategy pages that we've launched that they have maybe one or two or three links pointing back to it, and they're outranking other pages that have hundreds of links, right? And so that's a proof to what we're saying that, the number of links doesn't matter. There's a lot of other things that matter. But yes, some good quality backlinks to your website are still important.
Absolutely. And in this case, again, this website, Gotch SEO, they probably don't have an incredible domain authority. However, they talk about training and they included us in their page. So this is a relevant backlink that Google regards very highly and relevant. All right. Then paid, as we discussed at the beginning of this webinar. if you absolutely have to, it may be worth to throw some money at Google. Daniel, we're using Mauer Painting as an example here. If you do a search for exterior painters Boulder, you'll see at the very top, those are sponsored ads, local service ads. I'll share the link to that platform where you can easily set up a paid ad for you. You don't need to hire anybody. You can do this yourself, right? But ideally, again, you want to show up at the very top, like a client, Mara Painting, at the very top in the organic non-paid map pack, and then ideally at the very top there with the website. This, if you're a local business and if you qualify for local service ads, if you don't have a lot of visibility organically right now, this may be a good solution for you. You're going to pay by the lead. It can be relatively expensive, but I definitely recommend check it out if you're hurting for leads right now. This may be a good option for you in terms of setting up a pay-per-click campaign. Daniel, anything else you want to add here?
No, that's it. And it's not, you have to make sure that your industry qualifies, right? I
Yeah.
think these local ads are only for specific industries that they can vet and make sure that you're a verified professional in that one. So yeah, make sure that you, um, are able to, but like Chris said, it's pretty expensive
Yeah.
to run these.
Yeah, and once the budget is used up, you disappeared with organic. You're going to stay up there for the foreseeable future. Let's briefly talk about keyword research. So we work with a tool called SE Ranking. It's a favorite tool. We don't get a commission, but we have a really nice partnership in place where we promote their tool. In return, we actually get to use their tool for free. I speak globally. I always promote them. If you want to give SE ranking a try, just scan that QR code or right there at the bottom, use that link. You can sign up for a month-long free trial, no credit card required. If you want to do local SEO yourself, you will need a tool, in my opinion, potentially multiple tools to work with. It's just like it's a great weapon in your arsenal that will get you better results in less time. All right. Um, all right, so let's talk about location and home pages, local SEO optimization. Daniel, would you say that's one of our favorite SEO things that we do around here at BSM?
It is, for many reasons, because a lot of the local businesses that we work for, it's the most important thing. And in full transparency, we've become really good at doing it for ourselves. So we've, applied a lot of nationwide campaigns. We've done international campaigns. We've done a lot of, local campaigns for us to promote Boulder SEO marketing. And we've kind of, really figured out the local marketing for Google Business Profile. And that's one of the reasons that we're so, adamant to talk about it, because we know that these things that we're talking about are things that work, right? We see it not just for ourselves, but we see it work tremendously well for our clients. So it's exciting to be able to talk about something when you know that what we're talking about, has historically worked over and over for our clients.
Yeah, and then again, I mean, local SEO is so much easier than national or international. And that's what we're talking about here today. So what you see here, it's a screenshot of SE ranking. So we ran the Mara Painting website through SE ranking. It's a great feature of SE ranking where you can see what keywords does a website already rank for. It's the first thing that I do when I talk with a potential customer to see what are the opportunities. Daniel, do you want to briefly explain what are low-hanging fruit keyword opportunities?
Yeah, so low-hanging fruit opportunity is when you have a keyword that kind of falls into three buckets. Number one, it's a keyword that's a high intent keyword. So for example, in this case, Boulder, Colorado painters or Boulder painters, right? That's the keyword that your audience is looking for. Number two, it's a keyword that it's going to have search volume that makes sense, right? You don't want to go for a keyword that's so niche that's only two or three people looking for. You want to make sure that there's enough search volume. So you put some work into it, and when you get to the top, you're going to get enough traffic on that one. And then what makes it a great low-hanging fruit opportunity is a keyword that is fits both of those initial profiles, but is right on the bottom of page one or page two. Why? Because when you're on the bottom of page one or page two or three, you're far enough from the top where you're not getting any clicks, but you are close enough to the top where Google's already taking your website very seriously, and all you need is a little nudge to get you to those top three positions. So when we see these micro strategies and we see these three things align, we know that this website is then that's where we start having conversations of SEO is a short-term campaign for you, right? Because everything is aligned for us to be able to work on a micro SEO strategy and then get that keyword and push it from the bottom of page one up to the top of page one. That's what makes it a great low-hanging fruit opportunity.
Yeah. So in the Maro Paintings example here, we identified that the home page was already ranking fairly well for any kind of, painter and Boulder related search term. So we decided that we are going to run a micro SEO strategy on the home page. If you do a Google search for micro SEO, you'll find a guide that I wrote about this methodology. Daniel, do you want to quickly explain what we're looking at here and just about the project, what we did with Mauer painting?
Yeah, for sure. So this is essentially our template that we use to do a micro SEO strategy. And as I'll show on the next screen, not yet, but there's a lot of automation that goes into it. But in order for this process to really work, we need to put great information into the process, right? And this is one of those pieces of information, which is called our micro SEO strategy summary doc. And this is where we're putting in very specific details in terms of what are the keywords that we're focusing on. Who's our target audience? What are the key messaging points? What are we trying to get people to convert in terms of goals and so forth? And in this is just a snapshot of the document. There's a lot more information that goes into it, but this is us before we start creating or updating an existing piece of content, really going into minute detail of what are we trying to accomplish? Who is this for? Why are we writing this? All of that good stuff. Once this is created, if you want to go to the next page, Chris, once this is created, this is when we actually apply our micro SEO strategy. So, in a nutshell, and I could do a whole webinar on how all of this works, and I know we only have an hour now, so I'm just going to kind of go over this very, kind of quickly. But what we do is this. Let's say that we're working on the homepage for MAR, right? The items on the left, the input, these are the things that we need to put into the system to make sure the system copilot has all of the information that it needs to create the best piece of information out there, right? So first of all, we're going to do some keyword research. Second, the MicroStrategy summary doc, which is the one that I just showed you with all of the details of why we're doing this and what do we need to accomplish. The third one is the brand guide, right? It's what's the voice of the brand? How do we talk? What do we talk about? And the source content is anytime that we're creating a new piece of content, one of the things that we found that works tremendously well is that, you know, we do an interview with the owner or with people involved in the company to have them talk about what are they? What is this page about? What are we going to be writing about? We'll tell us some anecdotes and talk about some of your clients and so forth. Why? Because it is so important that we infuse as much what we call net new content into this piece of content, right? If you just tell ChatGPT to say, hey, go out there and get this piece of content and make it much better, what is ChatGPT going to do? It's just going to repurpose and recycle information that already exists on the web. And the final piece of content created is not going to be a good piece of content as per Google's eyes, right? What's going to make it a great piece of content is if we get a lot of that new information in there, not just about the topic itself, but net new information from the brand and the owner's point of view. And that's where that source content comes in. The brand guide, by the way, what we do with every client in the beginning is we do a really deep interview. We record that interview and we talk about not only what the company's all about, but what's the brand about. We get as much information as possible, right? Then BSM Copilot, oh, sorry, the other items on the bottom is then those are colored white because these are then automated. We get the keywords that we're going for, and then we do an AI overview. We search each one of these keywords and understand what is Google returning as the AI overview. We copy and paste that because that is what Google deems the most information, most important information out there. So we want to make sure that we include that in our page. We do the same for the SERP analysis. We get a keyword, we search it, and then we see who are the top 10 websites that are ranking on the first page today, and we copy all of that information. Again, these are the websites that Google deems the most important websites. And we do the same for Perplexity. Now we're doing it for ChatGPT. And we also can do some deep research using the ChatGPT deep research that gathers a lot more information. So now with all of this information, we put it into BSM Copilot, which is our system that has very specific prompts that goes through the process in a lot of detail to essentially create a really, really good outline. And this outline is going to be an outline for a piece of content that if the writer, whoever is going to be the writer, most specifically somebody who's really an expert in the industry, writes this piece of content, this piece of content has all of the elements that are going to make this piece of content, the best piece of content out there compared to everything that's out there today, right? That is essentially the essence of BSM. The other thing, BSM Copilot is a prompting system that leverages AI. But the important thing here is that we're not just leveraging ChatGPT or Gemini. We build a custom assistant, a digital client. And what does this digital client have? Well, the digital client is fed on lots of files about the client and interviews with the owner and YouTube videos and webinars and so forth. So when this BSM Copilot is going through, it's really thinking and writing and communicating as the brand and as the client. So everything becomes extremely personalized. Now, the most important part is once this final piece of content is created, we put it back in BSM Copilot. And this is probably the most exciting thing we've worked on, for the past year is the most important part is not only launching this great piece of content, but how do we slice and dice this piece of content so then we can use it in a lot of different places. Now, remember, we've just created a great new piece of content that's going to get on the website. That is net new content that Google loves. We have the ability now to repurpose this content and create, for example, a LinkedIn newsletter or a press release or social media posts or an email blast, so forth. What Copilot does tremendously well, again, using that AI assistant, is very quickly creating all of these additional assets. So then these assets can be automatically posted in places or manually posted in places, right? And that allows us to not only create these great pieces of content, but repurpose and then make sure that this piece of content is promoted in a lot of different places, giving it a lot more traction. So in a nutshell, that's truly the essence of BSM Copilot. It's all of this research that goes into it, all of this thinking that goes into it to create this amazing piece of content, and then the ability to create all of these additional assets and resources that are going to help promote and create traction in all of these other platforms. Now, one of the things that's very important, right? AI is doing the heavy lifting here. It's doing 80% of the work. But the person in there, the industry expert, the human writer, is managing and monitoring and editing every step of the process. So, because we are doing that, we are able to generate a lot more great quality content and assets in a fraction of the time that we could do before. But it's very, very much monitored by a human, and it's human driven, but it's AI generated for the most part. Um, it's been working tremendously well for us.
Yeah, and so what Daniel just described is actually called generative engine optimization. We don't want to make this webinar too much about AI. We're actually hosting a separate AI SEO webinar, but this process really works well, especially the slicing and dicing and using our tool to create more content for more places will give us a chance to get into other platforms like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, etc. Why? These tools, they frequent these platforms, Quora, Medium, Facebook, etc., to look for relevant information. So this is what we're addressing with this methodology. All right. So talking about AI and SEO, our next AI SEO webinar, I think we're hosting on December 6th or 8th or something like that. You can just plug in the URL at the bottom there, or actually, I think just do a search for AI SEO webinar, and you'll find the registration link to this webinar. This webinar is going to be all about generative engine optimization, AI, and SEO, which unfortunately we don't have enough time here today, but I definitely recommend if that interests you, please join us again in December. All right, so let's talk about, let's go back to local SEO. Google Business Profile Optimization. Again, you do not even need a website to set up a Google Business Profile. As long as you have a legit business, you can set up a Google Business Profile. As you can see there, again, we're at the very top in Google. It gets us a lot of leads, makes us a lot of money on an ongoing basis. This is how you can claim your Google Business Profile. Right there at the bottom is the URL, or you can just Google create Google Business Profile. I guarantee you will find the right place to get started. So, Daniel, not too long ago, we did a local franchise SEO project, about 250 locations that we optimized. Please walk us through the most important things that anybody wanting to set up a Google Business Profile or optimizing their existing Google Business Profile, what do they need to take into consideration?
Yeah, very quickly, right? And this is like two steps. Number one is the initial setup, right? And so absolutely accuracy on NAP, name, address, phone, website. What I could say about that is that those are called citations, and they're services that are going to do citation audits, citation cleanups, and citation buildings. Big part of that is something that SE Ranking does as well, but that is extremely important when you create or update a Google Business Profile. And for example, we had a client now that said, "Oh, I changed my address, and all of a sudden it's like my, rankings dumped." Why? That's why. Because now your name, address, and phone is different in a lot of different, so understanding that you have to go and clean all of these directories to make sure that they're all as much as simple as equally as possible. That's very important. Making sure that you're selecting the right categories and the right attributes in there. Making sure that it looks good, right? You want to put a logo, you want to put some good images on there. Make sure that you take the time to go through and create the products and the services, and make sure that you click and create a description for each one of these, and make sure that the descriptions for the products and services are keyword optimized. That's why creating keyword research in the beginning is extremely important. And obviously, most important, build reviews, right? Build positive reviews. I mean, that's probably the one biggest tool that Google uses to know if you're a legitimate, good resource that they can refer to, future clients is, what do past clients think of you? So make sure that you're doing good work and make sure that you're asking for great reviews. And then once that foundation's in place, the ongoing engagement is extremely important, right? Google wants to see that you are engaged, interacting with the platform, interacting with users. So always make updates, on the on the profile. Make sure that you are updating offers or events or new products. Make sure that you're interacting with anyone who's messaging you in there. Make sure that if you have reviews that are posted, that you respond to those reviews, good reviews and bad reviews. They're just as important. Make sure that you're adding booking links and ways that people that can reach out to you in addition to just, link to the website. And seasonal, right? If you are a seasonal business, make sure that you're updating accordingly. Make sure that you're communicating and doing posts that are relevant for the time, right? And most important, they have a great, if you go to Google Search Console, other than SE ranking, there's a great place that you can look for metrics and you could see what is working, what are the keywords that are tracking, clicks and views and so forth. And that helps you make decisions in terms of what directions should you start, kind of pivoting in. So we, focus a little bit more on this service or that service because it's been getting traction. So being hands-on your Google business profile is definitely important. Unfortunately, it's not to set it and forget it, like unfortunately a lot of people do.
Yeah, and then let's briefly talk about the SE rankings local SEO section. Again, they offer a free trial right there at the bottom. It's a Ukrainian company that we like to promote, so definitely check them out. Sign up for a month-long free trial, no credit card required. Daniel, I think we're going to show some screenshots of their platform. Do you want to briefly talk about their local SEO tools?
Yeah, when we get to the screenshots, I'll talk about it. I think it's probably easier when we get to them.
Perfect. All
Um,
right.
Yeah. So the reason we like SE ranking so much, and this is a pretty new tool for the local marketing that they've updated, is we've used a lot of local marketing tools, and there's good features here, good features there. They've been able to bring together a lot of these things into one place. So, for example, if you look at the left there, you'll see that essentially that's the dashboard if you decide to use SE ranking. And what you're looking at here on the right side is essentially what I like to see in terms of a monthly dashboard, just to understand how things are growing over time, right? What are the big keywords that are generating traffic? How are my views doing? How are my searches? All of the important information that number one, I get to see, to see if things are working. On the next page, one of the things that's really cool and clients love, and you as an owner should really love, is when people are searching for your keywords in your area, what position are you showing up in? So if you see a green dot means you're showing up in either position one, two, and three. That means you're in a map pack, right? And then I think the next five positions you get yellow and then red. And this is a great way to over time understand when you started a campaign, you got a lot of reds and a lot of yellows. And if you're starting to see those convert into greens, this gives you a huge tool, which is extremely easy to understand, that tells you what is the position that your website or that your Google business profile is ranking. And you can create this grid as wide or as short as possible, right? But this is an awesome tool that a lot of other companies charge a lot of money for, and this is something that's included in there. On the next one, this is when we talked about business listings. Remember when I talked about citations and the name, address, and phone? This is their tool, right? Right there on the right, you see NAP, which is name, address, phone, and now they put in the URL in there, which is the website, but they didn't update the name. But NAP is extremely important. So it tells me right there, there's 35 citations today that it's correct, but one is incorrect. Address is 33 that is correct. So it's telling you which ones need to be fixed. Now, one of the really cool things that I like about this is that see that auto sync button right in the middle that's checked on? When you check that on, SE ranking will go through and try to clean up and update all of the names and addresses and phones and URLs on the most important citations, which is the ones that are tracking here, to make sure that they're updated. Now, if you go to the next screen, SE ranking, for example, is able to automatically sync a lot of these. So you'll see the ones that says presence listed and in green are ones that are done. If it says not listed, sync has not started, it means that it's still going to be linking to that one. In this case, we need to manually connect Facebook, right? But if you go to the next screen, what it also does, which is tremendously good, it's like it tells you TripAdvisor, Uber Eats, Just Landed. These are extremely important platforms in their recommendation for your industry. And Sync is not available. So these are ones that you need to manually go in there and add your directory listing with the correct citations. And the last one, Judy Book, it says, oh, this is one that we can only go halfway, but you need to click on that, claim the listing, and finish it manually, right? And the beautiful thing about this is that depending on what industry you're in and depending on what the location that you're at, SE ranking is going to choose the top, I think, 35 to 40 directories that are the most important for you, and then go through this exercise. If you hit that auto sync, to automatically try to update as much as possible, tell you which ones you need to jump in and do manually. And if you do this, again, it's going to already clean up a lot of that foundational stuff that we were talking about, specifically in that NAP cleanup. That's so important.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Daniel.
Hmm.
All right, so let's talk about earned local SEO strategies. Again, to me, this is one of the golden nuggets of this webinar. It is so easy to do. So basically, I'm going to show you a strategy on how to find directories that will work for you. And they may even get you a backlink. So again, just do a search for your keyword, right? Today, this morning earlier, I spoke with I'm not going to want to give away the name. Let's call him an auto mechanic shop. Just there's probably like 10, 15, 20, 30 keywords that drive most of the traffic to a website, right? Identify those keywords and then just do a Google search and see if you are finding directories. There's going to be the typical directories like Yext, etc. But you will find more niche directories, such as this website, Gotch SEO Academy, right? They went ahead, they just listed our training course. In your case, you may have to reach out to them. You may have to look for, hey, is there a claim your business button, right? It is so easy, and this is one of the most underrated SEO strategies that I'm aware of. So I highly, highly, highly recommend you take advantage of this strategy. Um, I think we have a little bit of time. Hopefully, we'll have some questions here in a second. Um, Owned, again, About.me is one of my favorite platforms. It is free to set up a page on About.me. So simply head over About.me and then click on claim your listing. I actually just came back from Tanzania. My wife and I hiked Mount Kilimanjaro, and then we spent a few days on Zanzibar, a beautiful island in Tanzania. And the guide that we had, he worked for a guy that had a website. That's how I booked the tour, right? And we spoke a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, at one point in my time in my life, I want to own a website, because that makes people rich there." So I told him, "Hey, why don't you start with a LinkedIn company page?" And he's like, "What is LinkedIn?" I'm like, "Ooh, okay. Hey, let me share this website with you, about.me." And I told him exactly what to do. It's like, "Hey, just use keywords such as Zanzibar, tour guide, etc., etc." He was able to set up an about.me page and he was so excited to share it with me. He WhatsApped me. He created an incredible about.me page, and I guarantee you it's going to help him, make more money for him, as with everybody critically important to pay your bills, right? So again, About.me, an incredible platform. Another one of my favorites, LinkedIn. If you have a business, set up your LinkedIn company page. Once you have set up your LinkedIn company page, you can set up showcase pages where you can promote specific products or services. It's sort of like creating a microsite without having to deal setting up a real website. Um, Daniel, would you agree? I mean, building websites, it's getting easier and easier, but something like creating a LinkedIn company, a showcase page, way easier than setting up a website, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are hosted platforms that walk you through the step-by-step process to, get those up and running. is a website still important? Yes, because a lot of, clients are going to find you, they're going to want to click, and then they essentially go to the website to do a little bit more reading, understanding who you are. One of the things we talked about in terms of websites, as well as the importance of them, is that the quality and experience and that they get from navigating the website that you built is what they expect from, the work that they're going to do with you. So if you do create a website, it's extremely important that it really translates into, a really good user experience. But yes, I totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So that being said, we should have a little bit of time for Q&A. Daniel, any tips, anything that we missed before we hopefully answer some questions here?
No, and I think the only thing we didn't talk about is, we did talk about there's a lot of foundational stuff to do and there's a lot of ongoing stuff to do, but the cadence of it. I think cadence is one thing that is extremely important. It's important to have an agenda, and it's important to have a content calendar. It's important to make sure that you have notifications on. Reviews come in, those need to be responded to right away. But it's important that you have some kind of cadence in terms of the information that you're posting, when you're posting, that you're consistently posting. And a lot of what we're talking about here, because we're talking about, local, which is all, the focus of today, and we're talking about Google Business Profile. The same is true also to a lot of these other social media platforms. LinkedIn, for example, right? The cadence, the engagement level, the optimization, extremely important. Different, but also as important that we do and check off all these boxes. So, yeah, it's important to get organized, understand what you need to do, what you're going to be writing about, what you're going to be talking about, having a system in place that you don't forget to do it, because as we all know, we are all busy running a business and there's so many different things to do. And a lot of times updating the Google Business Profile becomes secondary and it doesn't get done, right? And so just make sure that you have a system in place to do it. Or hire somebody like us that we can do that for you, right? That's at the end of the day, it just needs to get done and it needs to get done consistently.
Yeah, awesome. And then looks like we have people from Italy, Germany, Düsseldorf. Awesome. Let me see. Questions. That's a good question. Dante. How can I land a job in digital marketing? I have a certification and want to demonstrate that I know what I'm talking about. Well, there's a lot of free information online, such as this webinar. If you're watching this webinar, make sure smash that subscribe button, give it a like so that other people find it. Daniel and I, we both been in digital marketing for 2, 3 decades. So you're not going to be able to learn all of the knowledge that we have in a very short amount of time. But when AI launched, when ChatGPT launched, I was asked by a European Language Industry Association to give a webinar 2 months later on how AI will impact global digital marketing. All right. So I went to YouTube and I found the right information. I found a conference where every session was recorded. I think it was called Transform X, where the most brilliant people talked about that topic, right? How is AI going to transform digital marketing and other things? I watched 100 hours of YouTube videos. That's how I learned AI and SEO. And if you now do a search for international AI and SEO expert, you'll find my personal website at the very top. Why? Because other conferences found me and I speak now globally about the topic. So that being said, AI is changing everything very rapidly. If you want to stay relevant, my recommendation is that go out there, learn whatever you can. The people that we hire here at BSM, at Boulder SEO Marketing, they need to have a very, very, very good understanding of AI and SEO. So that's critically important. Let's see. Um, all right. If there are no other questions. Yeah, I had a blast hosting this webinar. We do these webinars usually every 3 to 4 months because things are changing rapidly. If, let me see. Another question just came in. I'm told SEO takes time to give food and needs constant maintenance, while SEM, search engine marketing, is better for closing deals in the short term. What's BSM's opinion on that? Daniel, do you have a strong opinion on organic SEO, how long it takes, and how important is search engine marketing pay-per-click?
Yeah, so I mean, pay-per-click, the reason that we don't like it is because, especially for a lot of smaller businesses, it's extremely expensive. It's a type of marketing that you are going to be dependent on spending a lot of money every month. And the minute that the budget runs out, your ads go away. Especially if you're going for very competitive keywords, which is usually what you're trying to go for, those become very expensive per click, and your budget runs out very fast. So the idea is, you know, if you are able to get those keywords to rank organically, a lot of things happen. Number one, you don't have to pay per click. Number two, those links are gonna those links and those keywords are gonna stay up there regardless of what time of the day and how long, as long as you continue doing the or the optimization work. So in terms of a long-term strategy for, oh, and the third thing, which is really important, is when users look at a page and they see paid results and they see organic results, the majority, 80% of the people are going to click on the organic results because they know that the people up there paid to be up there. And it doesn't mean that they're any good, or it doesn't even mean that they're in your area. And a lot of times it doesn't even mean that they do the service that you're searching for, right? Because they can buy any keyword you want. So the idea is when you are able to spend money to get organic working for you, the return that you're going to get in that investment is going to be a lot further into the future. It's going to be a much higher return on investment. Now, like I said in the beginning, is there a place for pay per click? Yes, because organic a lot of times will take time to get to the point where it's generating all of the traffic and all of the leads that you need. Up to that certain point, are you able to invest some money to get your website up there? Absolutely. And that's a way that you can make sure that the business is running while you're investing in this more important long-term organic strategy to take effect. So there's a place for it, but I wouldn't say that, you should consider pay-per-click a long-term strategy for your business.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Daniel. And we're at the very top of the hour again. So this hour has flown by quickly. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you're looking to hire somebody to help you with local SEO, we're definitely here to help with that. So with that being said, Daniel, thank you so much for joining me in delivering this webinar. We'll send an email to everybody that registered with the link to the recording, the slides, and all that good stuff. As always, stay safe and healthy, and we'll talk to you next time. All right. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.